Hi, everyone. Welcome to Riot's Lunch and Learn series. My name is Caroline Griffin. I am Riot's Director of Operations, and you found us, the place where we feature all of Riot's partners. I'm super excited to have Rich Camacho, CEO and co-founder of BlueRecruit, with us today to talk about the do's and don'ts of hiring. Just a couple of quick reminders before we get started. Please do keep yourself muted throughout the event. If you have any questions, please place those in the chat box, and Rich has agreed to answer them throughout the presentation, so we'll get to those as quickly as possible. And if not, you're welcome to unmute yourself at the end and ask in real time. This is being recorded and it will be posted right to YouTube channel and then posted to the meetup group where you signed up for this event, so you'll be able to find it later. And those are all of my just quick reminders. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Rich. Rich, thank you for being with us today.
Caroline, thanks so much for the invite, and thank you for everybody who's joined us today. Hopefully you have some lunch, and if not, maybe just a beverage or something to hold you over. But just really excited for everybody, and please, as Caroline mentioned, do not feel like you're interrupting at all. I really want this to be a 2, 3, 4, 5-way conversation, because I think right now, if any of y'all are out there doing any kind of hiring, maybe you're looking for a job or trying to bring people onto your team, I think it goes without saying that absolutely nobody has the answers for how to manage this absolutely insane labor market. So please chime in with your questions, with your comments throughout. But a little bit about why it is that I'm talking to y'all, and a little bit about BlueRecruit. So my name is Rich Camacho. As Caroline mentioned, I'm the CEO and co-founder of BlueRecruit. BlueRecruit is an organization we actually came through as a Riot accelerator company a couple years ago, and that partnership with Riot has only grown since then. We absolutely love being with them. But what BlueRecruit is we're a software platform that connects America's blue-collar skilled workers with companies that are looking to hire. I jokingly say that we are the Match.com for plumbers. So if that gives you a good idea as to how we go about doing that part of the hiring process. But today, if any of y'all are looking for plumbers or welders, I'd love to help you out. But today, what I'd like to focus in on is more of the general scope for how to handle the overall sourcing of talent, and then, of course, how to actually bring people, hopefully, onto your team. Before BlueRecruit, I was actually a corporate recruiter. I used to work for a company. I started off as a recruiter. After the military, I joined an organization that was helping veterans that were leaving the service and helping put them into corporate America. Eventually left there as the Vice President of Sales and Marketing to co-found BlueRecruit. So what it is I would love to talk to you all about, and I would love to get all of y'all's input in as well. I'd like to start off the conversation by just going over some of the different sourcing methods for how you can actually get your hiring needs out there to the general public, so that people, of course, can come across your company and hopefully start applying for your open roles. I'd love to talk about, once you've captured that potential job seeker and he or she visits your company website, what should you have and what should you not have on your company's career page to increase the attractiveness of not only your team, your organization, but the role itself. And then I'd love to go over a couple different interview strategies for, hopefully once you found that person, got them in the door, and how to successfully conduct that interview in an efficient and effective manner. And of course, just throughout the entire presentation, please feel free to drop in the chat, come off mute, and ask some questions. I will say I'm absolutely terrible at actually monitoring the chat, so Caroline agreed to do that for me. It's only going to take me like 2 more years of Zoom to finally be able to handle the chat feature. So first thing that I'd love to talk about is just the sourcing methods for how to actually find applicants for your open roles. I think one of the really interesting things about talent acquisition is that too often companies try sourcing talent by one means. It worked for one role, maybe it worked for one particular time, and that's really all they ever do. And what I like to look at it is say, Every single job in a company has different responsibilities. You need different attributes, different skill sets for it. So why are we trying to source talent through only one channel? To give you a little bit of an idea as to what I mean by that, if you were looking for, let's say, a technical developer, a full stack, a front end, a back end developer, I would highly, highly recommend using one of two things: word of mouth. The developer community is very well connected with each other, and developers know what their strengths are and what their strengths are not, and they know that of their peers. At BlueRecruit, that's how we've hired all of our developers, is just through a community and through that ecosystem right here in the triangle. But think of other things like the upcoming demo day on March 11th at Wake Tech. That's a great opportunity to go and find individuals that have a particular interest. You know, demo day is very tech driven. They're in the region, and they're usually at relatively the same skill set level, that entry to mid-level. So that's an example of how you can go about trying to source talents in different ways. You know, we're very lucky right here in North Carolina, being surrounded by some of the best universities in America. And you got to make sure that your teams are taking advantage of the different career fairs and job opportunities being put on, like at NC State or UNC, for example. And then, of course, you know, you look at other types of roles, sales. What I always recommend people to do when they're trying to hire sales is don't go to Indeed, go to LinkedIn. LinkedIn provides you with that direct evidence of how how effective they are at building a community, getting engagement, providing quality content in a professional platform. So you almost can screen people and almost start the interview process based solely off their social media. And then, you know, Indeed, I wouldn't say Monster, Career Builder, you know, some of those other resume platforms, your more traditional entry level support type roles, great avenue for that. So don't forget that there's different kinds of sourcing methods for different skill sets and for different specialties within jobs. So here's an area that I would love to get, you know, everybody's feedback and comments towards. One really interesting thing that's happening right now in the talent space is that companies that do not move quickly, if they're not able to put out information, capture job seekers' attention, and quickly bring them in for an interview, you're gonna fail. There's simply too much demand out there right now to not be moving as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And I'll be the first one to say it. I was never comfortable, you know, when I was in a recruiting role back in my old job, I was never comfortable picking up my cell phone and texting an absolute stranger. It felt too personal. It felt like I was violating their personal time because, you know, I'm not calling them. It's not their choice to pick up that phone. However, as we start to study the demographics of texting and just the sheer data, texting is undoubtedly the preferred communication method for the vast majority of not just Americans, but people in the workforce. Some really just absolutely crazy statistics that have recently come out shows that 99% of all text messages are opened. So that means, just imagine if your cold email had a 99% open rate, you'd be absolutely jumping over the moon, and MailChimp would probably buy your company. But that's exactly what we have available through text messaging. And what's even more crazy about that, of that 99% that's being opened, 90% of those text messages. So again, I'm not a mathematician, so probably like 91% of all text messages are opened within 3 minutes of having received it. That's almost perfect timing communication. You know, probably the things throwing that off is I have my cell phone right here. I'm not going to answer it for the next 45 minutes, of course. But just the ability to quickly find somebody and communicate them and know almost without a doubt that they at least got the information. Maybe they're not interested in you, and that's fine, but they at least received the information and were able to download that. As I mentioned earlier, the vast majority of individuals say that texting has now become their preferred method of communication. A lot of times people say, yeah, well, that's amongst young people. Right now, American adults 29 and under, not surprising, 95% of them say that texting is their preferred method of communication. But what the numbers that do start to get a little bit surprising is that 30 to 49-year-olds, people like me, 91% of us prefer texting. I prefer smoke signals, but that's just my method. And then what's really crazy is that individuals from 50 to 64, 66%, so a super majority of individuals, 50 to 64, also prefer texting as their primary means of communication. That means undoubtedly the vast majority of the available workforce is texting. And all that comes down to is if you're not texting, you're not going to win the talent war. And that's exactly what it is right now. I feel a little weird saying the word war right now because that seems too intense given everything going on. Hopefully Putin can no longer text, but right now we are in battle against other organizations, against other teams in order to grow. And if you're not texting, it's simply not going to be possible to get that competitive edge and be able to beat out the competition, grab that talent, again, as fast as and effectively as possible. Some other things that come along with texting, which I think is really, really interesting. We at BlueRecruit, we're really proud of the fact that we're the nation's most equal employment opportunity friendly recruiting software. And we are completely, nearly 100%, 99.1% of our communication is via text messaging. And what we have found, and backed up by other studies throughout the country, is that men and women both text equally. So again, you have that opportunity to target and recruit people of different sexes at almost the exact same statistical percentage. But what is interesting is that the Black and Hispanic community is actually more likely to accept and communicate via text messaging. So again, it's improving that DEI effort through something as simple as sending a text message rather than email or a phone call. And another tidbit is introverts have absolutely loved the possibility of at least getting themselves in the door via text messages rather than having to have what could be an awkward phone call or video call as that first step with somebody they don't know. And and some rules out there. Does the personality, that introvert extrovert, really matter? It's more that skill-based assessments. So we've talked about, hey, let's go ahead and start and really start pushing the text messages. But what should that message look like? And when I say that message, I'm not just talking about the SMS, 160 character or less message that you're texting out. I'm talking about the overall marketing effort and brand equity that you are trying to create for your team to try and bring in top talent. Several studies have been going on recently, and we'll get into some of that. But what I really would love to hit on is some of the do these things in your outbound messaging, don't do these things. And I think some of the don'ts are going to be very, very surprising because you're probably seeing it everywhere you go. Right now, unquestionably, more than 2/3 of all applicants, of all job seekers across the United States say that flex time is the #1 attribute that they are looking for their next employer and their next opportunity. And what I mean by that, for those of us, here in the Triangle, we're very North Carolina, or maybe you're in Colorado or Virginia, or wherever you're listening to, we're very tech focused. And we immediately say, okay, cool. Yeah, flex time means I can go ahead and work from home, and I can go ahead and work at night or work in the morning, whatever fits best, wherever I can, manage the family and my other activities. But, for a lot of us that don't work in that, what was traditional 9 to 5, Monday to Friday office space, one thing to keep in mind with flex time is, do you have the ability to allow employees to work maybe 4 days a week for 10 hours a day and give them a day off? Do you have the ability, if you're working, say, manufacturing, and you have first, second, and third shift, can someone potentially, rather than just hiring for second shift, say, hey, you're going to be second shift Monday and Tuesday, that works best for your schedule, but then you're going to be third shift on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The ability to communicate to job seekers that you are actually offering that flexibility to work with people's schedules can be absolutely enormous. One story that I love that comes to mind, a couple of weeks ago, my COO was talking to one of our customers, and he had just hired somebody from our platform. And all that job seeker, that job seeker's number one concern was that he did not have to work Thursday afternoons because he wanted to be able to go and watch his son play lacrosse. I think all of us can agree, like, that's awesome. Like, that father wants to support his son and watch his son play what I think is an absolutely awesome sport, go Army Lax. But that employer said, yeah, I don't see why not. Hey, maybe I'll have to have you work a little bit more on Tuesday, a little bit more on Friday. Maybe you'll have to do the occasional weekend. But if that's what's absolutely vital to an employee, then and a quality employee, then of course, try and figure out something that's going to allow for that flexibility. So just keep an open mind when you're putting that out there. The number two thing that we're seeing across the board as things that people absolutely want, and I will say, millennials are actually scoring a little bit lower on job satisfaction compared to the rest of the population. But the ability for someone to go to work and feel an intrinsic satisfaction from the work they've completed and being able to express that is a huge plus. For us that primarily deal with the trades, there's huge job satisfaction saying, what construction worker do you know doesn't drive by a building and says, I built that. People love that. So, hey, you see that code? I built that code. You see that those cups being sold in the restaurant? I pushed that deal. That intrinsic satisfaction is an absolute huge plus for folks. And then one thing, again, not so much that job seekers are more excited about this, but really it's all about efficiency. I have and this might open up a whole worm of situations. I have absolutely no deal with this. Check with your individual state law, but put the salary out there. I see no reason for the process to begin, maybe even negotiations to begin, and then you find out well into the process that that job seeker and your company or other way around are on just completely different views of what the salary should be. All that time was wasted, both for the company and for the job seeker. I have no problem putting that out there. What I have seen is put out the true salary. Don't try to undercut people, put what's actually out there, because when the negotiation does begin, if you then can come back to the table and offer anything more than about 10% from what was out there, the trust that you have with that new employee has immediately declined. So put out true numbers out there, but I say put them out there. As far as the don'ts, I would be shocked if anyone out there watching right now has not seen sign-on bonus, $1,500, $5,000. We're seeing sign-on bonuses for every job under the sun. Let me just say, they do not work. Study after study after study, both scientific and us just talking to clients, they do not work. The fact that the reason primarily that they're not working is that everybody's doing them. Let's try and put ourselves in the position of the job seeker. It is really, really hard. Let's say that I am a C++ developer. I'm definitely not a C++ developer. I don't even know if we still use C++. That shows the technical savviness that I have. But let's say I'm a C++ developer, and Linda's company is going to offer me $5,000 signing bonus to come on board, and I have to stay on for 180 days. Cool. I get the job. I'm doing great. I got my $5,000. Day 181 comes by, and let me see the chat just went away, so I don't have anyone else's names. Caroline's company comes by, and they're offering $3,500 sign-on bonus. It's going to be really, really hard for me to just completely ignore that, not be under any kind of contractual obligation to stay, and say, I can bring another $3,500 home to my family simply by going across the street and working there. And we have to remember the natural human instincts to want to provide the best for our families, for ourselves. And that's really what's causing sign-on bonuses to not work. If you do want to offer bonuses, one thing we are seeing that is quite effective is relocation. America is an extremely mobile country. People love to move around. The ability to offer a one-time relocation bonus is actually having some really, really nice upticks. And then it's creating more loyalty with customers. Because, when a job seeker uproots his or her life, moves, maybe even with their family, they're not going to then start bouncing around jobs. They're more likely to stay put. And unlimited PTO, the secret's out. Companies that offer unlimited PTO, job seekers, study after study again shows they actually take less PTO. If you offer unlimited PTO like BlueRecruit, just don't say it. Just hire people that you know are going to get the job done. That's part of that interview process that we'll get down to later. If you can't trust people to do the job, whether they're at home, on vacation, wherever they might be, then you shouldn't be hiring them to begin with. And offering unlimited PTO, the secret's out. Everybody knows that's just hogwash, and you're actually going to end up taking less PTO than a company that's offering, I'm making up numbers, 5, 10, 15, 20 days a year. All right, company page. And please, if you have some comments, especially on the next 2 slides, please just unmute, throw them out there, because we're actually going to go through some real world company career page do's and don'ts, and just what y'all think about these pages. When it comes to a company career page, you want to think of this as another way to advertise all the great things about your company, about your team, and about the opportunity. Probably one of the things that companies do the worst of is how they manage their company career page. We spend, I say we, collectively, companies, we spend a ton of resources, a ton of money, a ton of time on SEO, on optimization, but we don't, to try and get people to our site. And then once they're at our site, for whatever reason, the company career page just never got dusted with the UX fairy. And it's this awful experience, and it's driving people away. And that's obviously what we want to prevent. So the most important thing is to inform job seekers of the opportunities that you have. And we can get into the details as to what exactly that means. But again, people want information. They want information as quickly and as easy as possible. We're all goldfish now. Videos work amazing. No one's going to sit there and read a job description that goes on and on and on and has 35 different bullet points. It's all about providing information, again, about the company, about the role, about the opportunity, about the team, as quickly and efficiently as possible. Mobile friendly. Please, 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 after that page is created, jump on your cell phone and make sure that experience, that UX, that user experience, is just as good on mobile as it is on desktop, because chances are, a massive study conducted by Sherm and Glassdoor showed the vast majority of your traffic to your career page is going to be via mobile. So make sure you're building it with that audience in mind. One click. Please do, again, vast majority of traffic is coming to this page via mobile. Please make it as easy as possible and allow somebody to apply for a job with only 1 click on that page. It's shown that once you do more than about 3 clicks or 3 pages on a career page, you're going to lose more than 65% of all the traffic that has come to that page and actually interested in that job. And if you have what's called an ATS, an applicant tracking system, again, please make sure you get with your tech folks, build out the APIs and integrate it in. The last thing you want is, hey, submit your resume. After you submit the resume, let's fill out these 15 different bubbles that have all the information that your resume has. Let's merge those things. Again, it's all about efficiency and making it more effective. With that, please, the absolute worst thing you can do on a career page is submit your resume, send us an email, and tell us about yourself. And again, you messed up the #1 rule, which was informing. I go to our customers' pages. We provide a lot of consultative services. And so many times it says, if you're a great worker, you're looking for a great opportunity, submit your resume here. I have no idea what kind of a job you're offering me. Am I going to be the CEO of the company? Am I going to be a welder? Or am I going to be driving a delivery truck? I have no clue, because you didn't tell me anything. And no, I'm not going to give you my personal information because you haven't provided me with any information. Stock images. I got a great stock image coming up, but take the time to take real pictures of the environment, of your team. People are going to the site to be informed. They're not going to the site so they can see a whole bunch of Canva pictures. Everyone's seen the same Canva pictures over and over and over again. I absolutely love Canva. Don't use Canva photos for your career page. Don't use it on your website. Interactive social presence, especially with younger generations. No, you're not going to lose people any faster. Well, actually, submit a resume is the best way to lose folks, but you're going to lose people so quickly when you have, the little bird, the little Facebook, the Instagram camera. People click on it, and the last interaction your company had on social was 6 months ago. You're like, is this even legit? People make up their minds as to the legitimacy of an opportunity and a website in fractions of a second now. And not having a presence on social when you claim to and you have those links built out is an absolute killer. And long applications, we kind of hit that with the multiple clicks. So please, again, come off mute if you see something, but this is a real career page. I would love to just hear people's thoughts on what you're seeing and what you think, whether good or bad, on this career page.
Thanks, Rich. As he said, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm going to start off with the obvious. Why is Seth Rogen applying for this job? Like, the first thing I saw when I logged on was like, why is Seth Rogen trying to get a work from home opportunity? Does anybody else see Seth Rogen? Thank you, Bill. Bill sees Seth Rogen. All right, folks, a couple things. I'll get it going. Right here, we're looking, excuse me, we're looking for those do's and don'ts of the job post. Immediately, we see, blatant stock imagery. Again, Seth Rogen probably doesn't work for this company. And all it says is, are you looking for the best paid job? Again, the bold, different color text is highlighting the pay. Pay is well down the list of the importance for why people are changing careers right now. People that want to be employed right now are employed, and they can probably make more money by simply asking their boss and going for a raise when they work hard. Trying to target people by pay is not the most efficient thing to do right now. So there's an error there in the messaging. When we look at, we have thousands of remote openings. What kind of remote openings? Can I be the president of the company? Am I going to be customer support? Is it for a developer? Is it for a salesperson? I have no idea. Again, I'm not going to click on apply now without having any kind of information. And I'll bet you dollars to donuts that once I hit apply now, I'm then going to have to break it down by category, by location to further. And I'm going to go down this multiple click process that is just going to drive more and more people off of my site after I paid all of this money, invested all this into search engine optimization to get people here, and then I ultimately lose them. Any thoughts on that? All right, next one. Love to hear people's what they think about this page. Anybody? All right, I'll go ahead and keep going. I absolutely love this career page. It is the imagery. I'd never heard of Crunchyroll, but I'll bet you anything that they are a gaming software development firm. I didn't look it up, but I'm more than confident that they are. You can see that they're looking for talented marketers. I know exactly what kind of role that they're looking for. Join our team in San Francisco to help reshape video streaming landscape and make products that reach over 10 million fans worldwide. Awesome. I know the job, talented marketers. I know the location, and I have a good understanding, broad kind of LinkedIn about me overview of what the company does. And current openings, one click away. This is an awesome, awesome job by a career page, and it's going to continue to engage folks and want them to go in because, again, you provide them information. You provided information on the company, on the opportunity, on the location, and you made it super, super easy with a single click. All right, So we've gone through different sourcing methods to actually get the attention of job seekers. Hopefully we got some of them to either apply online, go through our career page. Now's the hard part. Actually, one, getting the person to show up for that interview, and then putting them through the interview process. I'll start off this by saying, right now, if the interview process, and I say this, of course, we're speaking to a very general audience, but in the vast majority of jobs, if it's taking more than 2 weeks right now to get somebody from application in through the interview process to offer, you're going to lose them. 2 weeks is the magic window. Anything more than that, people are simply going to have too many other options, too many other opportunities, especially if they're a quality candidate, like ones that you're trying to bring into your organization. So what I highly recommend is the 4-interview process. This is something, and I'm completely stealing this from Google, because frankly, Google will never have more resources than any of our companies. So why try to better what Google spent millions upon millions of dollars figuring out and did all the hard work for us? But hopefully I'd provide that information in a more useful manner than a whole bunch of Google charts that I had to look through. So what Google found was that the ideal number of interviews was 4 interviews. And the way that can be broken down into many, many different things. Right now, I'm simply going to go through what I like to do in my 4-interview process. And again, please chime in, tell me what you've seen has worked, what hasn't worked. But right now, where I think is the best way to start is either a phone, preferably a video screen. That could be with a recruiter if your organization is of that size, an HR manager, or maybe even a hiring manager. A quick 20 to 30 minute video or phone screen can really narrow down the pool and make the rest of the interview process more efficient. And one thing that I highly recommend, too oftentimes, I see people get passed through that initial screen that probably weren't a very good fit, and the screener knew so, but they felt like they had to move the person forward. Please be sure to use each one of these interviews as their own independent stop sign or go sign. And if you don't feel comfortable about it, the reason you're in the position doing that interview is because either you're the owner or you've been entrusted with that responsibility. So please take that seriously. So the second interview that I highly recommend, if you're, again, this is for teams that are large enough to support this, is to do a 4-person panel interview. One thing that the Google study found was that it wasn't so much that it was 4 interviews that was the magic key, but it was 4 different people's perspective on that one candidate. So if you have the phone screener and then 3 more people on a panel, or the phone screener is then one of the people on the panel, which is what I recommend, it gives a little familiarity for the job seeker, makes them more comfortable. That can be just as effective as 4 independent interviews. And again, you're trying to minimize the amount of time that the interview process is taking. So doing a 4-person panel interview allows that. And a really great thing about panel interviews is that you can bring on a 5th, 6th, 7th person. Don't overwhelm the job seeker, but it's a great opportunity to train up future interviewers and see what your company's process for interviewing somebody is. So you're not only interviewing folks, you're getting them through the process quickly, you're also training up internally so that other folks can then start conducting interviews to make the process even more effective in the future. So that panel is what I recommend as the second interview. The third, it can be done in conjunction with the panel or a completely separate, and it's what I call meet the team. Everyone wants to be part of a team. It's our human instinct to be part of the clan, and I would feel very uncomfortable accepting a job if I had only met my interviewers, and I'd feel really uncomfortable offering a job if you hadn't met the other people on my team, which of course I respect and I want their opinions in as well. This can be done immediately after the panel interview, but if you do it immediately after a panel interview, make sure it's an organized process and not like, hey, let me show you around and we'll give you a quick tour and you'll meet some of the folks. Don't do it like that. Again, make all these steps, independent processes. But if you're trying to save time and speed up the process, I recommend doing meet the team immediately after the panel interview. And then the fourth interview, that is something that at that point, if you're comfortable after meet the team, put an offer out there. I'm okay with that. What I prefer to do, and I'm all about taking great ideas. I took this from one of the co-founders of Home Depot. He does not interview anybody, Mr. Langoon, until he takes them out to a meal. He wants to see how that person interacts with not only, people that are going to be his or her peers at a meal, but wait staff, people in the community. Breaking bread with other people really reveals a lot about you and really puts down some of the guard that individuals, can have and oftentimes are very good at during traditional interview processes. Eating is something that, we try to do every single day, hopefully. Some of us too much more than others, like me. But it's a great ability to really look into a person and learn more about them. And if you can bring a spouse or a significant other to that meal, even better. And this is a really interesting statistic. This goes back to that Google study that was conducted about the different interview processes and where this magic number of 4 interviews comes from. What Google found, there were certain jobs that they were doing 11, 12, 13 different interviews for. And when they started running the statistics and figured out the standard deviations of, are we actually gaining better insights into our future hires with doing these interviews? They found out that at 4 interviews, if they were making an offer, 86% of the time, that was a successful job offer and a successful, what they deemed a successful employee, versus a standard deviation of only about 5% more when they went all the way out past 13 interviews. And you can see there at the 3 interview mark, you're getting about an 83%. So well within one standard deviation. And that's where I say, hey, if you're comfortable with the meet the team, go for it. Pull the trigger, make that offer, and hopefully bring that person onto your team. Cool. That's all I have, folks. I'd love to hear from y'all.
Thank you so much, Rich. That was fantastic. One question here, will you be able to share this presentation?
Awesome. It's only $5.
Yes, we'll share it out. If Rich sends me a copy of this, Paul said that's cheap. Yeah, you could be charging a lot more.
I just
I'll share it out when I share the video. A couple other questions that came in. The subject of the Relo incentive came up earlier. Are you seeing an uptick in this post pre-COVID? Relocation.
Okay, awesome. I was like, I don't know what I was talking about. So and I'm sorry, who was that question from?
Yes, sir. The subject of relocation incentive came up earlier. Are you seeing an uptick in this post pre-COVID?
Yep. So I can give you really, really, really good numbers in a post-COVID world, because that's how long our software has been up and running. So unfortunately, I can't answer that correctly with statistics. But right now, in our software, we're seeing that 49% of all of our job seekers are completely open to relocating more than 1,000 miles. Those numbers are absolutely mind-boggling. And I think that the pandemic really showed people that I don't necessarily have to live in, Springfield, insert the state. I can go live in, insert the state. And, let's just look at the housing market. Obviously, people are moving around like crazy right now. But again, I can't give you hard numbers because the data that we've gathered is all in a post-pandemic world, and it's very much showing the desire for relocation. What we are seeing as an effective tool for job seekers is in that initial outreach to a job seeker that has shown interest in their job. They're actually putting out, hey, our facility is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Are you open to relocating from here? And they know the person might be in Michigan, might be in Ohio. And they're using that as an initial screening method. And then afterwards, they're not throwing out the money right away. You don't want to motivate people for the wrong reasons, but they do have that in their back pocket as a relocation offer rather than signing bonus. I hope that answered the question. I just don't want to give fake information without knowing the stats.
Super helpful. Thanks, Rich. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself, please. Rich, while we're waiting to see if there's additional questions, what's the best way to connect with you if people have more questions or want to get in touch? Oh, there we go. Perfect. Amazing.
That's $5 more.
We're up to 10. All right. We'll leave it open for another minute.
This is Jerry Miller. Just wanted to say this was excellent. It's a sort of great introduction to the modern world of interviewing, which I haven't done in a while, and recruit and from the recruitment side. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate that. All right, we'll close it out. As a reminder, this was recorded. It'll be posted to Riot's YouTube channel and then shared via the meetup group where you registered. We'll also share Rich's presentation. And I encourage you to reach out directly to Rich. BlueRecruit is an amazing company. Follow them. They have some really awesome ads out right now. Pretty funny stuff. But thank you so much, Rich. We love the BlueRecruit team and we look forward to seeing y'all again soon. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.